Are you starting off the new year struggling financially or maybe just feeling like totally broke? Well, today we're going to talk about 5 smart things that you can do when you do find yourself in a tough spot financially. I'm speaking from a place of experience because several years back, Pablo and I went through an extended amount of time where he did not have a job. He was actively searching, but we did not have any steady, regular income for quite a while. Whenever you don't have a job, or maybe you do have a job but it's not meeting your income needs, it can frankly just really feel terrifying, and can be kind of paralyzing to know what even to do, like what are the next steps to take when you're in a situation like that. But there are some smart things that you can do in these financially tough situations. So today we are going to talk about 5 of those. First of all, you're going to want to reevaluate everything on your budget. Now you might say, I don't have a budget. Well, what I mean is just reevaluating all your spending. Even if you don't have a specific budget, you can get out your bank account statements. If you have a credit card, get out your credit card statements. And you're gonna look at everything and you're gonna go through line by line each of your expenses and you're gonna say what is absolutely essential and what do we cut. Because if you don't have income flowing in, or if you have very minimal income flowing in, you wanna get rid of all those things that are not absolutely essential. I remember doing this with Pablo. We sat down, we wrote out everything. I mean, obviously rent, we had to pay rent. Insurance was really important. Feeding our family was important. But other things that were not essential, we had to make sure to cut. So some examples would be like subscriptions. I mean, there's so many subscriptions out there today. Sometimes you might even forget that you're subscribed to something. So you're going to want to look and make sure that you've canceled all subscriptions. Then things like gym memberships, if you have one, that's not essential. Manicures or going and paying a bunch of money for a haircut. Yes, we need to cut our hair, but we don't need to be going and paying $100 for a service that you could get at Great Clips. Things like going out and getting your car washed. You can do that at home. You don't need to have that expense. DoorDash, or just eating out in general. When you are on a really tight budget or you're in just a broke situation, you need to be cutting all of those things so you can just look at the bare bones of what you need to survive every month. Even things like clothing. Yes, we absolutely need clothing, but that may not be something that you need on your budget every month. Most of us will survive just fine with the clothes that we have in our closet. We don't need to be buying new seasonal clothes every season or going out clothes shopping just for fun. So if you are in a tight spot, stop buying new clothing for a while and just make do with what you have. Number 2 is to start choosing simple and cheap meals to feed your family. Now, we've talked about this extensively in other videos. I will link some of those in the description box in case you want more ideas. But looking through what you have been eating and thinking, okay, how can I simplify this? Now, I know some of you are probably already on a bare bones budget for your meals, so you may not be able to cut it anymore. But I would say probably the vast majority of us, if we take an honest look at what we're spending on groceries, we will see ways that we can cut and spend less. For example, maybe you're willing to start doing a meatless meal once or twice a week. Maybe you're not willing to do that, but you can look and say, okay, I do not need to have different meats every dinner. I can buy a whole chicken and cook that up. I can make soup. I can shred up the chicken and use it in a casserole. I can use it in chicken fried rice. I can use it in chicken quesadillas. You can make multiple meals from one chicken. So just learning to choose things that you're gonna be able to stretch, and being content with some simpler things and not having maybe all the variety that you used to have. But that will help you, if you're willing to do that, to do these more simple meals. That will help you to save money and maybe get in a better place, hopefully financially. Number 3 is to start shopping around to lower your bills. This can feel like an annoying thing to do, but it is really worth it when you can find another company that is a lot less. Don't stick with the same company just because you've always been with them. So things like your electricity bill, your internet, your house insurance, your car insurance, there are so many bills that you get that you can look around and see if you can find something lower, or call and try to negotiate something lower. I know just recently Pablo was considering switching our internet because we got a better offer from a salesman, but before switching, he called the company that we were using and he was like, hey, I got this other offer. I would like to stay with you guys because you've been great, but we'd love to pay a little less. And they gave him like a new contract for us that was less. It even beat the new offer that he'd had from the other company. So it's always worth asking. It's always worth calling the company, seeing if they can negotiate something better for you, or if not, maybe looking around and switching. Like, you don't have to be loyal to the same company just because you've always been with them. If you're in a tight spot financially, it's worth it to switch try a different company and get those bills lower. Number 4 is brainstorm some ways to increase your income. You can only cut down your spending so much. Like at some point, you just can't cut it anymore. Some things are essential. So if you have been very frugal and if you've cut down your budget, at some point you don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem, which you're probably like, well, duh. Like if you're out of a job, obviously that's the problem. You have an income problem. But sometimes you need to start brainstorming. What are some out of the box ways that you can make money? Maybe it's just short term while you're waiting for the new job that you're trying to get, or maybe it's something that's going to turn into a long-term thing. I know when Pablo was out of a job, I did something that was totally out of the box for me, and I started teaching English online to students in China. Now that's not currently an option anymore, teaching students in China, but teaching English online is definitely still an option for other countries. But that was something that was scary for me. I didn't think I'd ever do it, but I wanted to be able to do something to help out during the time that was tough. So I just went for it, and it ended up being a really good experience for me, just a really growing experience, being willing to put myself out there. And it was fun too, just teaching these little kids from like clear around the world. So anyways, that's just one example, but there are, especially nowadays, so many things that you can do from home, or maybe it's teaching a skill that you have. It doesn't have to be online. Maybe you have kids over to your house to do music lessons, whatever. There are so many things that you can do to earn a small supplemental income at home. And I'll try to do another video at some point sharing some ideas for how you can make money from home that aren't scams, that aren't MLMs or anything like that. But I think the key is you have to be flexible, you have to be willing to think outside the box and try some new things. And tip number 5 is to practice learning contentment. So I know that that is not what you clicked on this video to hear, and I'm not saying learn to just like sit back and be like, oh well, this is my situation, it's not gonna get better, I just need to be content. That's not what I mean. Financial security is absolutely a goal that we should all be working towards. So yeah, I'm not saying like just be content where you are and never get ahead anymore. But what I am saying is that it doesn't do any of us any good to just be looking at other people and what other people have and be feeling discontent, like, why do they drive better cars than me? Why do they have a better house than me? That sort of thing. We can be content even as we are working to increase our income and provide financial stability for our family. Everyone's journey is going to be completely different, so it's a total waste of time to just be wishing that you were in somebody else's shoes. For the whole time that we've been married, we have driven older cars, and I think it's safe to say like that when Pablo drives to work, we just have one car. So he takes the car to work except on days when I need it. But anyways, when he drives to work, like his car is probably one of the oldest cars in the parking lot. And you know what? That does not bother him one bit because he knows that it's paid off and it's working most of the time. And we're just grateful for it. This is what we have right now. In the future, maybe we'll be able to buy another car or a better car or whatever. But we're not gonna waste our time feeling like, oh, ours is not as good as so-and-so's. Like, don't do that, it's just a waste of time. I'm gonna link to a few resources in the description box that I think you might find helpful if you are in a time when you're struggling financially. There's a book I read several years ago called More Than Just Making It. I believe the author, let me see, her name is Erin Odom. I read her book and I thought I had some really good, helpful tips, some just really basic, common sense stuff, but then also some things that you may not have thought of and some ideas that might help you if you are in a spot where you're struggling financially. And she also goes through some of the things that are available for you here in the States with government aid and things like that that can help you just get back on your feet and get into a better place. Also, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. We do not do everything exactly how Dave Ramsey says to do it, but I do think a book like that can be really helpful just if you've never done a budget and maybe have never been taught how to handle money. I think a book like that can really just give you some helpful ideas. So I will link that one as well. You guys tell me, if you have found yourself in a financially hard spot, what are some things that have helped you either to make money at home? Share that in the comments because everyone can use more tips for things to try like that, or ways that you've cut back on your budget, or maybe just how you have learned to be more content. I would love to hear what you have learned through financial hard times if you have experienced those like we have. So leave your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for being here. I will be back again on Monday for another meal plan and grocery haul. So I will see you then.